Hello and everyone. Welcome to this third episode of Deep Point with GillyCricket. I got slightly delayed because of a few tech issues, as you can understand sometimes. But really happy to be doing this third show, and this time, or we'll discuss whatever has happened in the last week of Indian cricket. All of us were quite confident of Jasprit Bumrah being a part of the Indian squad going into the World Cup, but now he's been ruled out. And someone like Mohammad Siraj has been drafted in as his replacement for South Africa. We'll touch upon that along with a few other questions that have come in for this episode. And like always, I'll love that if you guys could keep sending in your questions so that I can answer them on this show and keep interacting with you all, which is something that I've usually loved. Just posting on my Twitter that I've gone live, and I'll just inform everyone so that they can also come in and join the show. But yeah, it's been quite a ride so far for me, wherein I've been able to interact quite a lot with you guys, and I've been able to take all these questions. And like I always say, it's always very heartening to see that a lot of you rely on me to answer your questions, and take my insight, and you know feel that I'm capable enough. And it's something that I'd always be thankful and grateful for, to all the people that do that. Just going to start taking the questions. Just give me a moment. So before I start taking in a few questions, there are a few questions that have come in from before. I'd like to touch upon that before I start taking in questions from you all. One major question that now is in front of India is that who makes the 11? Is it Ravichandran Ashwin or is it Yuzvendra Chahal? Because Chahal's form has not been a great one. On the other hand, Ravichandran Ashwin, since the time he's made a comeback to the Indian side, he's taken he's had an economy of 5.73, and he's taken around 14 wickets, only been wicketless in two games, and he's the maximum amount of runs that he's gone for in a game is 32. So he's only he's only conceded runs at more than 8 runs per over. In fact, not even more than 8 runs per over, at 8 runs per over in two games. So that's how Ravichandran Ashwin, that's how good Ravichandran Ashwin has been for India. And in the IPL as well, over the last two seasons, his economy rate is around 7.4. He's bowled in the power play, he's bowled in the middle overs, and on a couple of occasions, he's also bowled at the death. So he keeps proving that how versatile he is as a spinner, along with the fact he can always, add value with the bat, which is something that which is something that Yuzvendra Chahal doesn't do. And with Akshar turning the ball away, it's something that would complement Ashwin quite well. And they did a good job for Delhi Capitals in the 2021 IPL season as well, wherein Ashwin and Akshay were able to keep someone like Amit Mishra out of the 11. So I won't be surprised if India do rely on Ashwin to do well. Uh, a few questions have started to come in. Khalid Muhammad Akif is saying, "Hi, Sergi." Khalid, good to have you on the show. Plus, please don't address me as Sir. Gurkeet is just fine. Harsh is asking, will toss be a crucial factor in the upcoming World Cup 2022? I don't think it will be as crucial as what it was in the last World Cup, but toss is always crucial in a T20 game, because it is such a short game with extremely fine margins of error that without the toss advantage really helps, and all teams usually look to chase, because batting first is something which is a little more risk oriented. You probably have to bat for 10 or 15 runs more than par, because you're really not sure what is the par total, and sometimes while doing that you can end up with a score which is 20-30 runs less than par. So toss will be a factor, but I don't think it will be as crucial as it was in the UAE. Dhairya Puri saying, saw your tweets on Bumrah. I'm not giving up hope. We tend to do remarkably good with our backs against a wall. Thank you, Dhairya. But yeah, so to others, my tweet was that I don't think we should all be desolate, because T20 as a format, like I keep saying, is very fickle, and it has extremely fine margins of error. And because there isn't a lot of because the duration of the game is quite a short one, you can rely upon a few good individuals to come good and take you through and give you the desired result, provided you have a little bit of luck on your side. If you look at Australia last year, they were, more or less bolstered by performances of a few individuals. Adam Zampa was brilliant. I thought that he could have been the man of the tournament instead of David Warner. David Warner was brilliant as well. So was Mitchell Marsh. But outside of that, they really didn't have great performances. They only had a few people stepping up every game, and then they had that advantage of the toss. So, and like I keep saying, in 2016, West Indies, the team that won the World Cup, they lost to Afghanistan. So I am really not giving up hope yet. I do think India, the I do think that the the void created by Bumrah's injury is something which is very difficult to fill, but it's not something that should make everyone desolate and think that okay, this World Cup is only going to be just a formality for India. I do think that if Indian batters can come good, then there are chances that they might win if India continue to get the opportunity to chase. Uh, so questions have started to come in. Vikram Mohanty is asking, are KL, Chahal, Pant, and Bhuvi weak links for this Indian team now, especially now that our bowling line is much weak? While Akshar is good in bowling, we still can't rely on him with the bat. Pant, I don't think is making the 11 as of now. Chehel, like I said, I will probably leave him out and I'll play Ashwin in the 11. As far as Bhuvi is concerned, again, he's been rested for the series. If Harshal does tend to do well in the three matches, there's a possibility that he will surpass Bhuvi in the pecking order. I see Arshdeep definitely playing now in every game because India don't have Bumrah and they don't really have a reliable death bowling option. The combination that I would go for probably will have Akshar at 7, Ashwin at 8, probably one of uh, Bhuvi or Deepak Chahar at 9, Harshal at 10, and Arshdeep at 11. If Bhuvi plays, then Harshal bats at 9. But if Deepak Chahar plays, then Deepak Chahar bats at 8, Ashwin bats at 9, and Harshal bats at 10. So I'd probably look to elongate the batting depth as much as possible with these wings, because I think it is impossible for India to make up for the loss of Bumrah with the ball. They can only try and do that with the bat. So that's what I feel. Coming to KL, I'm really not sure. Why people think that he's a weak link. He's a very quality batter, as he showed in the last game where the pitch was a difficult one to bat. Yes, he has had intent issues, but I think he's working on it. And a free flowing KL is something that India would need in the World Cup. And if KL doesn't have a good tournament, I won't be surprised if India struggle in the tournament. So I don't think KL's a weak link. I just think that he needs to do justice to his ability, which I hope that he does. And he makes sure that these perceptions against him, that he doesn't score. Obviously, these perceptions have some merit, that he doesn't score in crunch games or he doesn't score against good opponents. He can put those to rest because he's a very, very quality player. He can be India's Jaws Butler, but he's not been able to. So I hope he realizes his potential in the coming month of October and November, where India play the World T20. I really hope he does that. Uh, Vicky Vegada is saying, I hope I've got the name right, Vicky. Rohit mentioned in the press conference that they got Umesh because Siraj was in county. Now, how come he's suddenly available as Bumrah's replacement? Excellent question, Vicky. This is something that I also had in my mind, and I tweeted that, probably Siraj could have been tried out earlier, but uh, the county that he was playing for, they released a statement saying that on the 20th, he went back to India for a few family issues, and then they didn't think that they'll probably need to play him because he would be on the bench. But now they have chosen to go for his services because of how Umesh bowled, and how Shami has got COVID and not recovered from it. I don't think you can plan for these things, which is why I will not be highly critical of the management on this front, because it's tough to be in the shoes of the management right now with Bhuvi losing form, Bumrah getting injured, Harshal coming back from injury, Shami getting COVID, Umesh not doing well, Deepak Chahar was also injured, and now they've gone to Siraj. So I really won't, be harsh on the management for this. Mitul Ahuja saying, uh, Deepak Chahar will be trump card in World Cup. He has decent control and doesn't give away too many runs. Well, this is an interesting one because I tend to differ. I think His pace is an issue. And if there is no movement, he can become quite a hittable bowler. I still do think that Bhuvneshwar Kumar is the better power play bowler because I have numbers to support this. If you look at the 2021 IPL, which was one of the worst for Bhuvneshwar Kumar, where his economy was the highest, it was still under 8. But someone like Deepak Chahar went at an economy of 8.4. So I am really not sure if he will be the trump card, but I hope that if he gets drafted into the squad, he turns out to do well for India, because at the end of the day, we want the Indian team winning the trophy and bringing that trophy back home, because it's been quite a long time since India won an ICT tournament, 9 years to be precise, and we have had quite a few heartbreaks. So hopefully that doesn't repeat itself. Dheria Puri saying, also asked about KL last week and wasn't disappointed last match. He got time in the middle on a spicy pitch. Yes, I liked how he batted, because it was important that he arrests the collapse there, because India was without Hardik and Pant's not been in great form. So I thought a lot of criticism of KL last game was unwarranted. Archit Aryaman saying, I think Bumrah should not be rushed back because staying fit for Australia Test series is also important, and he should perhaps give T20 because of his action. Thoughts will be this question is not completed. I don't think we can probably ask any player to give up T20 format now, given how T20 is a format which pretty much supports the other two formats in terms of the finances and the money that comes in. So I think, but yes, I do agree that he shouldn't be rushed back, because it's not the first time that he's had that stress fracture in the back. It happened in 2019 as well, and where he was out for 13 weeks, and it was the back injury which kept him out of the Asia Cup. I personally do think that somewhere someone in the NCA should be answerable, that why was he cleared so early. But yeah, I really don't agree that he, like, we can expect him to give up T20. I don't see that happening. What's your take on BCCI's approach towards giving clarity about players' injury? Well, I pretty much tweet about it every week. I keep saying this, that there needs to be a lot more. There needs to be a lot more clarity from the BCCI in terms of injury management. We literally had no clarity even a year and a half ago, before when Rohit's injuries was concerned, before the tour to Australia, and before the Border Gavaskar Trophy in Australia in 2020 21. And it's something that keeps happening. I do believe that if BCCI becomes better with communication, it will only enhance the image of the board and the bodies under it, rather than degrade it, because confusion doesn't help anyone. It creates it creates issues for the players. It creates a room for conspiracies to be created, and fans are also in the fans are also not sure what is happening. And what it does is it gives trolls an opportunity to create gossip and all the kind of negative stuff towards the players. So I do that is what I feel, and I hope that BCCI improves on this part. uh, yeah, Dhairya Puri is right. BCCI does the bare minimum. Fans suffer at their end. Uh, Before now I move on to questions, I have two other questions that I had planned for this episode. I am moving to them. Uh, just give me a moment. Now, because there was this question about players giving up T20. I had received this question on my Instagram, because I posted about this show as well, and where it was asked, should key players not play the IPL? Now, after Bumrah's injury, this has come up because he played all the 14 games for Mumbai Indians, and there's always been this criticism about the IPL, that while players play the IPL, they get injured and they're not able to play for their national team. It happened with KL Rahul as well, wherein he was ruled out for the Tour of England, and he was out for injury for a couple of months while he had that hamstring injury, and he was playing the IPL. Ravindra Jadeja got injured playing the IPL. So should key players not play the IPL? I don't think we can ask professional players to not play a certain tournament. Especially when they are earning that much from the tournament. That is one, because at the end of the day, even players want to be paid well for their skill, right? The other is, it is not that IPL doesn't improve the skill. It allows players also to get better. Sometimes players are also out of the side, they've been dropped, and then they need to play in the IPL to make a case to be, in the team. So it's a very tough one. I don't think you can regulate as such, but probably if the board steps in and tries to regulate it, I hope the players are compensated for. Also, if you are able to compensate the player, who will compensate the franchise? Because the franchise is also investing some amount of money in the player, and they're not just investing that money in the player, in terms of just giving him that salary and performances. They're also trying to build a brand. Some of these players are key to building a brand for the franchise, to getting sponsors for the franchise, to sell gate tickets as well. So it's a very dynamic question which can't be answered, unilaterally, wherein you just look after the players' interest. You have to look after the interest of the franchise as well, and the league also. So it's a difficult one to answer. So I'm now moving on to the questions again. Tasneen Ahmed Tapu is asking, when will India win big tournaments? Every time IPL happens, there is buzz about numerous talent, but where are they now? Only bilateral wins and do badly in big tournaments. Tasneem, I can understand the frustration that you have here, but here are a few things that you need to consider. Uh, Somewhere India have also been unlucky in a few tournaments. Like I thought in 2019, uh, obviously they didn't have that number four sorted, but there was no team which was perfect, right? But they were also unlucky to bat in conditions wherein New Zealand were the better team. If you look at the 2014 World Cup, they were unbeaten throughout the tournament, but Sri Lanka bowled probably as Sri Lanka's death bowling in that game was probably as good as any I've seen ever in T20s. So they also encounter such situations. And there's one thing, you see talents in the IPL because there isn't that much expectation from them, and they do well. Doing well for the country becomes a different ball game altogether because the chances are minimal. There is a lot of competition for spots, and you really don't get that much opportunity. So it's difficult to to straight away draft in players. And even if you want to draft in someone, who do you drop? So I don't think personally that India have selected a 15 that isn't good enough. I think they have chosen the best possible team pretty much. I'd say probably 90% that they could have chosen from the pool of players. But yes, there are few players who will obviously miss out because it is not easy to just keep out the players who've been doing well for India, just because you have better talents. Yes, they can be given a chance, but I think post this World T20 they will be given a chance. This year the chance wasn't given to them because we were in a World Cup year, and there weren't enough matches to try out the different combinations, right? After the World T20, I do see a lot of new players coming into the T20 format. I do see the likes of Virat and Rohit giving up this format, which will create space for others to come in. And hopefully that will allow new talents to flourish more and be ready for the 2024 T20 World Cup. Hope that happens. But BCCI physio should take call on Indian squad players' fitness. That's a good point by Pratik Kandhari. I'm not sure when NCA clears the player, the BCCI physio is involved or not. I'm really not sure about that. So yeah, again, this is why I say that BCCI needs to give a lot more information that is there. This is Khalid Mahmood Akif is saying neither DK nor Pant got much game time in recent past. How can you have one undercooked batter in your top six? I wouldn't really say both of them are undercooked. Pant probably has got game time, but he's not been able to convert those chances into something substantial. DK, given the kind of position he's batting, we'll have to see how he does once again when India bat first. While batting second, he hasn't really had much of a chance to bat, and that the role that he plays is a role which is extremely volatile. Like even by his own admission, he said that you will probably fail a lot more in that role than be successful, because coming in the 16th or the 17th over and hitting shots straight away is not an easy thing. I don't think DK is undercooked. I think he's had the skill and he's been practicing quite well. Hopefully, in the next game when India plays South Africa, they bat first and DK gets a chance to bat and he plays a substantial inning. And this is something that I've always said to everyone. DK may or may not do well in the World Cup, but what is important is that you back the players who has had the most skill and experience in that position. And DK has been very skillful in that position. He's probably average. I was looking at his numbers since the 2019 IPL. DK has averaged around 40, 40, 44, 45 in the last 4 overs, and he's had a strike rate of 197 against pace in the last 4 overs. So DK is someone who's a very bankable finisher, and I hope that he comes good in the World Cup. Rest everything is something that you can't control, and like I say, because it's a very fickle format, things can go against you, and you really need some luck on your side. Nikhil James is asking, what is your opinion of strengthening lower order instead of identifying Bumrah replacement? Because I don't think India currently have better replacement for Bumrah. Akshar, Harshal, Bhuvi, Ashwin, and Arshdeep. Well, Nikhil, you'd be surprised to know that I came up with the exact same 11, except I had Deepak Chahar instead of Bhuvi if Bhuvi's form continues to dip. So I agree with you, and I spoke of it pretty much before you came in on the show, and I've had a discussion on it. But I'm happy that to have someone who has pretty much the same thought process as me. Vicky Vegada is asking one more question. Hope you don't mind. There are questions now being raised about NC and the way it manages players. What's your take on this? Really love this show. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Vicky. I hope that you ask your other friends to watch this show and subscribe to the YouTube channel of cricket.com. Like I said in the beginning, I love when people come in on the show and keep asking questions, and they rely on me to give them a good answer which makes them satisfied. So it's something which is a great feeling for me, and I'm extremely grateful. And Vicky, I've already spoken on this bit. I think NCA is answerable, and it's not been the first time when they've cleared a player and the player has been out for a longer period of time after playing a game or two. It has happened with Bhuvneshwar Kumar, it has happened with Riddhiman Saha, it has happened with Hardik Pandya as well. So yes, questions need to be asked of NCA. Paji, do you think trying out too many combinations does confuse the management, as mostly whoever plays well? It also makes the experienced players insecure. Well, I think one good thing that you can say about this management is that the environment is pretty secure, because a lot of players have come out and said that. A lot of players who've been on the fringes, they have said that. And if you look at the kind of backing that they have given a few players, you can say that insecurity should not be a reason. Someone like Shreyas Iyer got 10, 11 games before he was dropped. Avesh Khan got a lot of chances. Rishabh Pant got a lot of chances before he was dropped. And when Bhuvi or Chahal get dropped, they would have also been dropped fairly, because they would have been given chances as well. As far as trying out few combinations is concerned, as long as the team is clear about why the combinations is being tried and what is the role, I don't think it should confuse. And if you have a lot of players doing well, then it's a problem of plenty, and you would rather have that headache than have an headache where you don't have players, right? So it's you could say that it's probably an occupational hazard of sorts when there are a lot of players doing well, or probably the hazard uh, of such a strategy. But I'd rather have more than one player doing well for a particular spot, rather than trying out 2 3 players who've not done well at all, to be very honest. So uh, yeah, I'm okay with the management trying that. Dhairya Puri is saying, agreed, the show is awesome. You can call me Dhairya. I am so unhappy IPL and national team being compared, trolling Bumrah so badly and led by accounts with many followers. Yes, Dhairya, it is disappointing. It's extremely disappointing how some accounts are quoting and saying that Bumrah plays for money, and I think it's quite unfair, because rather than supporting the player through a tough time, you are questioning his integrity, which I don't think is the right thing to do as a cricket fan or as someone who follows the game of cricket. I think it's the most bottom tier behavior that you can come up with. So yeah, uh, that's all I have to say. And thank you, Daria. I just ask you that share the show with others. Ask other people to come in on the show and send in their questions. I'll try answering whatever I can depending upon my knowledge, and hopefully you are satisfied with those answers. The reason I prefer Bhuvi is is his experience as a senior player. Even though he conceded much runs in death, Rohit will at least back him up for the Park match. If he fails, Shahar be the better replacement. I can understand why Nikhil is saying this, and I won't be surprised if India do follow this approach. It's quite understandable. Tasneem is asking, the kind of talent India have, don't you think India should have won more World Cups? Perhaps yes, but like I've said before, winning the World Cups is not something that can be completely done with skill. You also do need a factor of luck somewhere, right? As long as we understand that luck plays a role not only in cricket but in life, we'll be able to understand why winning World Cups or winning big tournaments is not just about the talent. It's also about, having the right amount of luck. And there's nothing wrong in it. I keep saying there's nothing wrong in it. Australia were extremely lucky in the last World Cup to have won 6 out of 7 tosses, but at the same time, no one will remember that, because everyone remembers who won the trophy. So that's what I'm saying. You need a little bit of luck for the big tournaments. Thank you so much, Dharya. Yeah, I hope that you keep more asking more questions. Ruben Loganathan is saying, since November 21 until today, Bumrah played 5 T20 matches for India, but played all matches for MI, although they were eliminated early. So IPL teams should manage Indian players better uh, and give them more rest. I suppose that's what he's saying. Rest and recuperation, I believe. Well, as an Indian fan, this is a very, very logical line of thinking, and I can understand why you're saying that. But as a franchise, I just want to ask you, would you have done the same? I'm not sure. If I was in the MI management, I probably wouldn't have done the same, because I would have liked, to secure as many points as possible, because no one, even when you are eliminated, you are still playing for pride. And MI's bowling attack this time was pretty much hopeless. They had Jaydev Unadkat, they have Basil Thampi, their spinners were really poor. So, barring Bumrah, they didn't even have a proper bowler, especially when Tymal Mills was also ruled out and he was injured. So it's a difficult one to say. As an Indian fan, you'd like that, but at the same point of time, if you step into the shoes of franchisee, you'll understand why they wanted Bumrah to play. And I'm sure if Bumrah wanted rest, they could have given him. So, and for India, the reason why he didn't play as many T20 matches was one, he was injured post the England series, and then India felt that they don't need Bumrah in all the series, and they wanted to rest him. So it's about that. Vikram is saying T20 is a very dynamic format. Do you think India will get the combinations right and persist with it, since chop and change in the World Cup will be detrimental to the team? The one thing that we have seen with this team is, especially if you see from a squad point of view, they don't chop and change a lot. They do experiment in the 11, but they don't really chop and change a lot from the squad. And I agree, it's a very dynamic format. uh, I hope that they get the combinations right, because at this point of time, their combinations have been, pretty much been screwed, for a lack of a better word, because of the injuries that have happened. First to Ravindra Jadeja, then then uh, then to Jasprit Bumrah. We are also not sure what is the status of injury of someone like Deepak Hooda. So hopefully they get it right. And you're absolutely right that it is a very dynamic format, and yeah, I do believe that they will persist with it. Will Shaheen once again destruct our top order since he came from injury? What will be his form? How will Indian top order tackle him, especially Rohit, who's had the worst average against left arm seam in T20s? Well, if he's coming back from injury, we could hope that that he may not be as good as he was last time, and hopefully he doesn't. One reason why I was excited about Pant opening in the two games that happened in England was that I felt that now against oppositions which have a left arm spinner, a left arm pacer, and a left arm spinner, Pant can be one of those options who opens. But when India moved to West Indies, they switched to opening with Surya Kumar Yadav, which actually didn't make sense to me, because when they did that, they pretty much cleared any scope of experimentation of their top three, and also they robbed someone like Ishan Kishan of his place and the chances that he could have got. So I hope that the Indian top three is able to manage against Shaheen whenever they play Pakistan in the World T20, and hopefully they do well and India come out on top. How these updates and information frequently gets leaked from unofficial source of BCCI. I still remember IPL 2020 schedule got leaked 2-3 hours before announcement from official. I'm so happy that so many people are bringing up this question, because it is something that is actually a serious issue, because from a professional body, you should be expecting these announcements to be coming up, to be coming from the official handle. If you look at the England and Wales cricket board handle, all the official announcements, whether it be about injury or their tour or squad, they come through the official handle only. They are not being disclosed by any other journalist. So BCCI does need to get its act together in this regard. And it's something that has been extremely frustrating for me as well personally, and I've spoken about it. I just hope a lot more people speak about it, and BCCI do mend their ways, because it's important for the image of BCCI as well that they do that. Kanan B is asking, with Bumrah not there, should India get in two pacers, Shami and Siraj, probably in the squad in place of Bumrah and Hooda, so that there are more options in the pace department? Well, if you do that, then you're pretty much stuck with only one extra batter in the squad, which would be Rishabh Pant. I won't be surprised if they do that, because I don't see someone like Deepak Hooda starting in the 11 in Australia, and it's a possibility that they can look at. But I had probably, for a left field choice, that I'd probably go with, someone like Shardul Thakur, because he adds value with the bat, which the others don't. And I'm really not convinced about Shami in T20s. A lot of free people talk about his ability to take wickets with the new ball, but in this IPL, he had a strike rate of 21.8 in the power play, and the maximum number of balls that he can bowl in the power play is 18. And he's not been a good T20 bowler, so I have my reservations. But yes, this is something that can happen. Do you think the BCCI could have chosen different venues which kind of replicate Australian pitches? Also, we could have batted first to test ourselves in the last game. Very pertinent questions and very interesting questions from her side. Answering the second one first, yes, we could have batted first to test ourselves in the last game. But then at the same time, if India had lost, then people would have criticized the management for batting first. So it's always a difficult scenario where you want to plan, where you want to plan for the situations ahead, but you also want to win the series at hand, because if you don't win that, you get a lot of criticism. And at this point of time, the duo of Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid is under a lot of fire because of how they fared at the Asia Cup. So I can understand why they chose to bowl first. And as far as BCC, the pitches are concerned, it's not easy, because pitches are dependent upon the nature of the soil. And while you could play at venues which have a lot of high bounce, you also have to keep giving games to different venues, otherwise you'll have repetition of venues, right? The kind of pitches that Australia have, you'd probably get that in a Pune, in a Dharamshala, or probably in Mumbai. But all these venues have already gotten India games in the last 1 year. So it's important that matches are spread across the country, so that fans from all over the country can experience watching the Indian team play at the stadium. I understand where you're coming from, but I think this is a very difficult one to answer, and I wouldn't really criticize BCCI for it. One more question that I'll take from that came to me before, and I'll take that question. Just give me a moment. I'm adding that. Is Siraj a good replacement? Now, this is something. Just one comment that has come in. I want to share that. Harsh is saying, by the way, I'm a big fan of your game insights. You gave me a new way of observing and analyzing the game, unlike running agenda against anyone following on Twitter since last 6 months. Thank you so much, Harsh. I will just ask you for one simple favor. Ask your friends, ask all the people who you know and who are diehard fans of the game to subscribe to cricket.com, download their app, and share the show with them, so that they can also come in and ask their questions, and I can interact with them. I love that opportunity, and I hope you do that. Thank you so much, Harsh. Now, is coming to the question of Siraj, is he a good replacement? I personally think that, even though he had a very bad IPL in this year, he was actually very good in the IPL of 2020 and 2021. In the IPL of 2021, he was a very good death bowler for RCB. And against West Indies in that ODIs, he actually bowled well at the death. So I think, as on potential, someone like Siraj can be better than Mohammad Shami in T20s, but we'll have to see. And two games aren't enough. So he's not Bumrah. He's not of Bumrah's level, but I think he can be as good as you can get in this format. Yes, he had a horrible 2022 IPL, but I suppose he's better than that, especially if you look at his numbers from the 2020 IPL and 2021. He can bowl with the new ball. He can bowl Yorkers at the death. And if he can, become 80% of the bowler that he was in the 2021 IPL, a lot of headaches will be solved for India. If India fail again in this World Cup, do you think there will be major changes in team in regards to coach, captain, and players to prepare for the 2024 T20 World Cup? I think there will be major changes regardless, because a lot of these players are, someone like Rohit Sharma is 35, Virat Kohli will turn 34. A lot of I don't see both of them playing T20s anymore after this World Cup, because by the time the next T20 World Cup comes, they'll be 36 and 37 respectively. I don't think the coach and captain would be changed, because 1 year is not enough and you need to build towards the 2023 World Cup as well. But yes, I see major changes regardless of the fact, where India end up, whether they end up as winners or whether they end up as semi-finalists or whether they exit in the group stage. I see changes happening anyway. I see Bhuvneshwar Kumar also not being a part of the T20 team going forward if he doesn't have a good tournament. So that's what I think. Even Yuzvendra Chahal, if he plays the World Cup and he doesn't have a good tournament, we could probably see Ravi Bishnoi becoming the number one T20 spinner for India going forward. So the changes are imminent and they will happen regardless of the result. R. Siraj and valuable distribution, who's always there with a lot of valuable comments on a lot of our shows. Are Siraj and Umran in reserves, or they have replaced Hudda and Bumrah in World Cup squad? Umran, I don't think is in the reserves. Siraj is in the squad for the T20 series versus South Africa for Bumrah, and he wasn't in the reserves for the World Cup. So that's about it. Why West Indies hasn't picked any office? Should they have thought for Rakeem Cornwall or Roston Chase? Well, they did have Roston Chase last time, but they didn't really use him, and they've only gone with they've even for a leg spinner they have dropped Hayden Walsh and they have gone for Yannick Carrier. And to know more about the West Indies squad, I'll recommend you that you watch our episode with Dan Weston, where we have analyzed the West Indies squad, and Dan's not been particularly happy with the squad they have picked, so you can check that out. And yeah, they've only gone for for a left arm spinner because they don't think that they need another spinner. But yes, you've brought up an interesting question about their team construction. Trick 11 updates is asking, what do you think about someone like Teen Natarajan in the T20 squad after the World Cup? Depends upon how his fitness goes, because in the last IPL he was doing well for Hyderabad. If he continues to play well and if he continues to be fit, I won't be surprised if he's given another chance. Alankar Mishra. Alankar is someone who always has questions for me, even on Twitter. What about Mohsin? Left arm bowler was good in the IPL as well. Is he there in the prospects after the World Cup? Well, Mohsin Khan is a very interesting story because he didn't have the kind of numbers that he had in this IPL while he was playing for Uttar Pradesh in domestic cricket, whether that be List A, first class, or even Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. He wasn't even in the first 11. So I suppose the selectors would probably want to look at him in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy this time. If he does well, then he might get drafted. Because I suppose now why they're not drafting him is because they feel that he probably could have had a beginner's luck kind of a thing in this year's IPL. But yes, from what I have seen him, I think he has a lot of potential, and he really bowled well in the IPL in all phases for Lucknow. So hopefully he does well and he becomes a very good bowler for India and a very good prospect for India. Any new questions? I don't see any questions that are coming in as of now. I'm just going through all the comments that have come in. Okay, new comments have come in. Do you think the BCCI? No, irrelevant. But I just wanted to know that how do foreign players play for teams like England? Okay, so England, uh, England have this system wherein they allow foreign players to play in their county circuit. India really don't allow that in Ranji, and when they have completed playing 4 or 5 seasons in the county circuit or in England's domestic cricket, they become eligible to play for England. In Jofra's case, they actually fast tracked him and they changed the rules because they realized how good he is and they wanted him in the squad. So that's how it is for England. And it's something that happens even in New Zealand. That is why you see a lot of South African cricketers who don't get a chance to break into the South African team go to England or go to New Zealand and play their cricket over there. So that is there. I got one very good question. I'm just going to share that and answer that. Uh, just moving upwards. It's a very good question about left arm spinners. Here it is. Vasant Reddy is asking me, do you think left arm spinners like Maharaj or Nawaz can choke India in World Cup, as none of India's top four are good against this type of bowling? Yes, left arm spin is actually a threat against India. It's a bigger threat than left arm pace, because against left arm pace, largely KL and someone like Virat Kohli have done well. Yes, KL has struggled a little bit in the power play, but overall he has good numbers against left arm pace. So yes, even Surya Kumar Yadav struggles against left arm spin. So I think when India encounter left arm spin in the power play, they'd probably look to play out that over. And if they encounter left arm spin and they're already two down, they could probably look to promote someone like Akshar Patel to come in and whack a few against left arm spin. That is how I see them using Akshar Patel in as a pinch hitter, or as a floater. And I hope to see Akshar Patel get some chance to bat against Keshav Maharaj in the two upcoming T20s. So it's an excellent question, Vasant. Well done. Been already 40 minutes since I have been on this show. Last 5 minutes before I end this, and then you ask your questions next week in the show. Valuable Distributions asking, do you see Kumar Kartikeya making it to the Indian team anytime soon? Very gritty player. I'm surprised he isn't selected in ROI squad. Is a decent batter too. Uh, like you said, he's not there in the rest of India squad. Someone like Saurabh Kumar is. Shahbaz Ahmed has been drafted in. He'll probably get his chances, but I think later. I think selectors don't want to rush him after just one decent IPL season. They want to see more from him. Do you think we stand a chance to semi-final if West Indies and Sri Lanka both end up in our group, like Bangladesh and Sri Lanka were placed in same group last year? I don't think both of them will end up in our group. I do see West Indies ending in our group if we go by seedings. And in conditions like Australia, wherein you need to have a lot of you need to have batters who can play back of length pace and are good against pace. I think the level playing field sort of goes away. Like the conditions in Australia uh, rule out an upset happening from an Asian team far more than what it would have been, say, in an UAE or in Asia. So uh, West Indies do have a lot of batters who struggle against back of length pace. Someone like Nicholas Puran does as well. They would have to rely on the likes of Shimron Hetmeyer and Evan Lewis to do a lot of heavy lifting, and someone like Robin Powell coming in at the end and doing what he does. But the good thing is India will probably play West Indies in Melbourne. Now it's a big ground, so you will not be, and it's a ground where you need to run a lot between the wickets, and it's not easy to clear those boundaries. So India would probably be lucky that they are playing West Indies in Melbourne. uh, India just need a little bit of luck. I think barring South Africa, all teams are such that India can beat them. The problem is that they're playing South Africa in Perth, which is a venue that will also favor South Africa a lot more than what it favors India. And that brings me to the question that has been asked of Ruben Loganathan. What is your opinion of this SA team? They are said to be good enough to win this World Cup. I agree with that opinion because they have decent amount of batting depth. Their batters are in good form. They have the bowling attack to do well in Australia. They have express pacers. They have a left arm pacer in Parnell, and Giddy is bowling quite well. We could see that they probably drop Shamsi and play four pacers against India. Dwayne Pretorius is there; he can do decently. So, and they've gotten back Riley Rasu, who's also been in very good form recently in T20s. Had a very good season in the T20 Blast this year. So they can do well. And they were unlucky to miss out on the semi-final spot last time as well. They had been the only team uh, to beat a good side while batting first. They had beaten England batting first in Sharjah by scoring the 190 runs. So they are a good team. Hopefully they make the semis. And if India don't if India get knocked out or they don't make the semis, I would like South Africa to win because it's been a long time since they won. Might be a repeated question. Keeping an eye on the Pak England game. Isn't Pakistan team too much dependent on Babar Rizwan duo? Today Rizwan is not there and they are 3 down with Babar still there. So yes, it's a case of it, it's a catch-22 situation for Pakistan, because when Babar and Rizwan get out early, their middle order doesn't do well, and if they bat long enough that they don't allow for middle order to come in, get settled, and score a few runs. So they are, but I think when they go to Australia, they'll need someone like Babar to bat long because of the pitches. The pitches, Pakistani batters won't find the same pitches that they find in Pakistan or in Asia, where they can just hit through the line. Dealing with bounce is going to be something which is going to be difficult, and you need batters who can play pace. Someone like Babar and Rizwan are good against it, but Rizwan doesn't have the shots on the offside. Are New Zealand dark horses coming in the World Cup, as they always are? They have good pacers, Ferguson fit this time, and Conway is developed in T20s. And how do you think Guptill would fare? Is he good in Australia? I don't think New Zealand are dark horses because they've usually struggled a lot in Australia, and there isn't a lot of swing. They struggled in the ODI series against Australia as well. They lost 3-0. Now you could say T20 is a different format, but somewhere there's an issue of skill as well. So yeah, I don't think New Zealand are dark horses as such. How likely are India to lift the World Cup? Hemant is asking on a scale of 0 to 10. Uh, the scale for India winning the World T20 this time is the same scale that it's the same number that what they had in 2007, 2009, 2010, 2012, 2014, 2016, 2021, and this year, because of the kind of format that it is. Before Bumrah, I would have said 8, but minus Bumrah, I would say somewhere around 6, 7, 6.5, because India do have quality batters who can help them win. Subodh Chauhan's asking who's more skillful and dangerous T20 batsman, KL Rahul or Sky? KL Rahul is more skillful, but more dangerous at present is Surya Kumar Yadav, because what Surya Kumar Yadav is doing, KL Rahul can do it as well. He's just toned down his intent. But yeah, KL Rahul is more skillful, but Surya Kumar Yadav is more dangerous. Uh, on this note, I'd like to end the show now. I've been speaking for 47 minutes. I don't realize that is how much I love answering all those questions that come in and talking to you guys who make it a point to come to this show and be repeat viewers of the show. Love it that you guys place your trust in me, and feel that I'm capable enough to answer those questions. I just have one thing to say: do subscribe to the channel, do like the video, and also check out the other content that is there on cricket.com. You can also follow me on Gurkirat as Gill on Twitter. On Instagram, I have my handle as GillyCricket. So and you can then follow all the social media handles of cricket.com as well. On Twitter, we are there as we are cricket. On Instagram, it is cricket.com_official. On YouTube, it's cricket.com/tv. And that all these links are there, so you can follow them. If you have any feedback, whether it be for me or for any other show of cricket.com, please don't hesitate and please don't hesitate and do send it. We'll try and work on it. Do send in your questions as well. I'll try and answer as many as I can. Do send in your questions for Dan Weston's show as well. And just taking in last comments. Vikram is saying thank you for answering all our questions. Your analysis is perfect. Thank you again. I'll just disagree on one thing. It isn't perfect. It can always improve, because I can always watch far more cricket and become better at it. Subodh Chauhan's asking, will there be a watch along for Sunday's game? Subodh, we'll let you know that tomorrow. We are trying to figure out a few things, but yes, we are trying. If that happens, you'll get to know very soon. Subodh is saying good night, great answers. Thank you so much, Subodh, once again. Sorry, it was Hemant. Valuable distribution is saying do come in spaces regularly like you did recently with the channel and some other guy. Yes, I'll try that. We are trying that. Harsaib is saying, Paji, always wonderful listening to you. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Harsaib. I know you are someone who's followed me a lot and have followed my work. Pretty grateful to you. Valuable distribution once again. we enjoy you listening on the spaces. Yes, thank you so much. I'll try and be there as much as possible. So a lot of love from you guys coming my way, and I think it is the perfect note to end the show. Thank you so much. Stay tuned to cricket.com and do like, share, and subscribe this video. Thank you so much once again. And I'm now ending the video.